Hi, my name's Beth Royal. I'm the team leader of the internal audit team here at Creative Support Head Office in Stockport. And today we're going to look at guide number 1, which is to do with transactions and how to record them. The first type of transaction we're going to look at is withdrawing money from an account. So, the very first thing we need to fill in is obviously the date. The date needs to be recorded in full in the format of day, month and year. It's important that the year is recorded so that if a page ever gets removed or misplaced, we know which book it belongs to. The date should be recorded for every single transaction that you record in the book. And you should not use ditto marks. Ditto marks can be written over and dates can be recorded retrospectively, so we need the full date every time, please. The next column we're going to look at is the V number, which stands for voucher number. This can sometimes be called the receipt number or the folio number. Whatever you call it in your service, the same rules apply. The receipt numbers start at number 1 at the beginning of every month, and they follow on consecutively without repetition and without omission. They're only needed for receipted expenditure. They're not needed for income into the account. At the end of the month, the receipts finish, and the first day of the new month, the receipts start again at number 1. The next column we're going to look at is the transaction details. These details are really important because they evidence the support that we're offering. It's not acceptable to record the details as money out or cash out, because that's too vague, so we want more information about what this money's being spent on. You could say trip to the shopping centre or hairdressers if you know what the money's going to be spent on. If you're not sure until you go out what the money will be spent on, then it's fine to say activity in the transaction details. When you record the change back in, you can offer more details at that point about what the money has been spent on. Next, we're going to record the actual money removed from the fund. This will go in the money out column. You record the whole amount of money. For example, if it's £20, it's 20.00. If it's 50p, then it's 0.50. It should be recorded in pounds and pence so that it can't be amended or misinterpreted at a later date. You will then record the balance of what is left in the fund after the money has been removed. The balance should reflect what is in the tin or the wallet at all times. So if you're taking £20 out, you'll take £20 off the balance, and that will show what is left in the tin at that time. Now we come to signatures. 2 signatures are required if possible, preferably 2 members of staff. If the service user has capacity, then they can sign the first signature column and the staff will sign the second one. If you are lone working, then it's acceptable to sign the column and in the second column write lone working, loan or LW. And that completes the entire row when we're recording money out of a fund. Next, we're going to look at how to record when we're depositing money into an account. So we start just the same as before with the date in full in the format of date, month and year. Next we have the folio number, voucher number or receipt number, whatever you call it in your service. Most importantly now we have the transaction details. These are really important because they evidence the support that's being offered to the service user. Don't record it as money in because that's too vague. We need to know exactly where this money is coming from. Is it money from an appointee, from a cheque? Is it change from a previous trip? So record the details here as clearly as you can so that the next person reading the book understands exactly where that money is coming from. Now you're going to record the money into the money in column. You're going to record it in pounds and pence exactly, please. And now you're going to add it onto the balance. As soon as you put that money into the account, You add the money onto the balance, and then the book reflects exactly what is held in the tin or wallet at the service. Finally, we come to signatures. Again, if the service user has capacity and is able to sign, they can sign here to evidence that that money has gone back into their account. Otherwise, it should be 2 members of staff if possible. If you're lone working, it's acceptable to just sign here and record lone working, or LW in the final column. And now the entire row is complete and the money has been recorded back into the fund. Now we're going to look at other types of transactions which you may need to record into the money books. First one we're going to look at is personal money. Because personal money is a small amount of money which is given to the service user from their monies for them to spend unaccompanied, we're not going to record a voucher number in this column. We're going to use the date, as always, in the format of date, month, year. We're going to leave the voucher or folio number blank. Because this isn't receipted expenditure, there'll be no receipts for this expenditure, and so we don't need a receipt number. In the transaction details, you're going to record something along the lines of personal money, daily monies, something like that. What we don't want you to record is anything like allowance or pocket money, because it's not really appropriate. This is the service user's own money. It's not an allowance and it's not pocket money, so we want to use respectful language like daily monies, personal monies. We'll record the amount that they're taking in the money out column, and then we subtract that from the balance so that, again, the money in the book is reflecting exactly the money that's left in the fund. The signature column should be signed by the service user to evidence that they've received that personal money and they're taking responsibility for it. And then the second signature column should be signed by the member of staff. And then the entire row will be complete and the personal money will be recorded out of the fund. Another transaction that I want to look at is transfers. If you're transferring money from a personal money fund to another fund, such as household or food, again, we don't need a voucher number or folio number because it's not receipted expenditure and there will be no receipt. The evidence for this is that the money will go out of the personal money fund and it will be recorded into the joint fund. And that's all the evidence we need. We don't need a folio for that. So when we're recording a transaction, we record the date in full, no folio number, and on the transaction details we want to record exactly where that money is going to. For example, household fund or food fund. In the money out column, we record the exact amount of money which has been transferred. And in the balance column, we deduct the money that's been removed to leave us with the balance, and the balance of the book should always reflect the money that's held in the fund. This should be signed by 2 members of staff, if possible. If not, then the service user can act as the first signature and a member of staff can be the second signature. If you are lone working, it's acceptable to write your own signature and then lone working or lone in the final column. And the next and last transaction that we're going to look at is an income deposit into a fund, and that might be from a cheque or an appointee. There are different ways of recording this depending on whether the money has come from the bank or has been handed over from an appointee. And that's to do with the transaction details. So the date will be recorded in full. Voucher number isn't needed because it's not receipted expenditure. In the transaction details, if the money has come from a cheque, for example, which has been cashed at the bank, then you would write cheque number and whatever number it was that was cashed at bank. In the money in column, you would record the money in and then you would add that to the balance. This can be signed by the service user and a member of staff or 2 members of staff. Again, if you're lone working, it is acceptable to just sign and put lone working in the other column. Some service users may have their weekly monies actually delivered to the service by their appointee, for example if it's a family member. In that case, you're going to record the date in full as usual, no voucher number needed because it's not receipted expenditure. In the transaction details you would write money from appointee, you would record the amount in the money in column and add it onto the balance. This is the important difference when the money is dropped off by an appointee, because you should ask the appointee to sign the first signature column, and that is our evidence that they've dropped that money off and they are confirming to say that the amount that we've recorded is correct. The second signature can be by a member of staff. If on the rare occasion that the appointee doesn't want to sign the book, I would make a note in the comments section at the bottom, but I think you'll find most appointees are quite happy to sign the book to evidence money that they've left at the service.